All right. Welcome back, everyone, to this live event on rethinking global issues brought to you by the Teaching English team and our team in Sub-Saharan Africa. So while you're arriving, please say hello in the chat and tell us where you're joining us from. My name is Steve. I'm the Open Learning Manager for the Teaching English team in Sub-Saharan Africa. So if you're in Zoom, please use the chat for comments and to answer questions and the Q&A for any questions you have for our presenters today. If you are watching live on Facebook, leave answers and questions in the comment sections, and we'll actually make sure that your questions will be actually brought back in Zoom for our speakers to answer. So today we have two sessions with two hosts and four wonderful presenters from Sub-Saharan Africa, all focused on how we can rethink global issues in the classroom. I'm your host today, but I'm also joined by my colleague, co-host Linda Ruas. So we're about to start with our second session today, titled "Research, Gardens, and Eco Islands: Climate Action in ELT." So with my co-host Linda and our four fantastic expert teachers. Welcome, Linda. Welcome, everyone. Linda, I can now pass over to you, and you can start. Enjoy the event, everyone. Over to you, Linda.
Thank you, Steve, and welcome everyone. Great to see so many people here from so many places. We're about to start with our second session, Research, Gardens and Eco Islands, Climate Action in ELT, with these four fantastic presenters. Before we start, I'd just like to introduce you to them. Hi, Khadija, Ismael, Suleiman. How are you? And where are you joining from?
Hi, Linda. Hi, everyone. I'm joining from Mombasa, Kenya. Welcome all.
Okay, great. Okay. And then we have Christopher Liberty. How are you? And how's the weather in Uganda?
Hi, thank you, Linda. I'm joining in from Kampala, and it's quite sunny outside. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. And Happygod Macha, lovely to see you as well. Are you well? And where are you at the moment?
Hi, Linda. Hi, everyone. I'm from Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. Glad that I'm here. Thank you.
Lovely. And finally, Muhaymina, Talib, Omar. How are you? And how is Zanzibar?
I'm good, and Zanzibar is very warm today.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
The format of this session is a short presentation by each of our speakers, interactive presentation with opportunity to put your comments in the chat, and then we'll all be here to answer the questions at the end. We're going to start with Christopher in a minute, so the others can turn off their cameras in a minute. Let me tell you about all the speakers, a little bit more information first. Christopher Liberty is an English language educator who works on the quality assurance for UNELTA, the Teacher Association in Uganda. He recently worked as part of a British Council-funded project that aimed to advance gender-just climate action through blogging. Then we have Khadija Ismael. She'll be second. She's a teacher of English and literature at Khadija Secondary School in Mombasa. She's a proud SDG champion and climate action advocate, and she actively engages with the English Language Professional Association of Kenya, ELPAC, working towards making a meaningful difference in the field of education in Kenya. Thirdly, we have Happygod Macha, who's an ELT specialist and teacher trainer from Tanzania. He has over a decade of experience leading professional development across Tanzania and abroad. He is from TELTA, Tanzania's English Language Teaching Association, education specialist, and his work focuses on communicative methodologies, inclusive education, and sustainability in sub-Saharan Africa. I made a mistake, he's actually last. And third is Muhaymina Talib Omar. She's an educator with over 10 years of teaching in secondary schools in Zanzibar. Beyond the classroom, she serves as a subject advisor for English and Swahili at a teacher's centre, and she also volunteers as a professional development coordinator for ZANELTA, the Zanzibar English Language Teachers Association. So I'm going to hand over to you all four now. First to Chris, so keep your camera on, please, and enjoy the webinar, everyone.
Thank you so much, Linda. And today we will aim to achieve a few things, including showcasing innovative classroom projects from English language teachers across Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Zanzibar. We also aim to share localized lesson plans and activities that integrate language learning, of course, merging it with environmental sustainability. Then finally, we aim to inspire educators to see themselves and their learners as agents of change in addressing climate challenges. So those are our objectives today. Next slide, please. So my focus today will be on indigenous groups and the indigenous knowledge that they provide in relation to environmental conservation and climate action. Then my other colleagues will speak in line with that. So we're starting with two indigenous groups in Uganda, and that is the Bene, who live on the slopes of Mount Elgon in the eastern part of Uganda, and then the Batwa from southwestern Uganda, who neighbor Congo and Rwanda in East Africa. So who are the Bene? They live on the slopes of Mount Elgon, and they have very, very good relationship with the forests. Some of the forests provide medicinal plants, and they have a spiritual relationship with these forests. They maintain forest cover, and they help in sustaining biodiversity. We also have the Batwa. These are hunter-gatherers. Some are in DRC, Congo, others in Rwanda. The ones in Uganda have interesting knowledge about the species. They understand the seasons, and they look towards plants and animals to predict the weather. They also use these as medicinal plants, but above all, they use plants and animals to predict the changes in rain and sunshine patterns. So in our chat, I would like us to start right away and share how the knowledge of indigenous groups can help with the climate crisis, and how can we bring this knowledge into our classroom. So in our chat, let's answer these questions: how the knowledge from indigenous groups helps with the climate crisis, and then how we can bring this into our English language class. Linda will be helping with the chat if there are any insightful questions or comments, and I will move on to the next slide.
Yeah, we have one comment so far about the indigenous groups can help in finding and gathering various undiscovered plants, maybe, and helping to train people with environmental help and inherent wisdom in sustainability from the indigenous groups. Lots of nice comments here. Yeah. And bringing the class to the community rather than, taking the community to the class.
Yeah. Next slide, please. All right. So, what value does ecological knowledge provide in our curriculum today? It's very key that we understand that most of the places today are relying on the Gregorian calendar, which tells us from January to December. But we understand that that has changed. Usually, for example, in Uganda, we used to know that in January, we're going to have a lot of rains according to the Gregorian calendar. But due to climate change, this indigenous knowledge would be very, very important in making more accurate predictions of the weather patterns and how they are changing. For example, the Batwa, using the animals and plants, they know that there is a change rather than depending, for example, on the Gregorian calendar or we could use both to supplement this information. On the other side, we understand that ecological knowledge provides unique perspectives and solutions for environmental protection. And we also understand that the knowledge, the ecological knowledge, for example, that is among the Batu and the Bene, they understand the connection between the land and then time-tested sustainable practices. So this would be very key in us mitigating the climate crisis. Someone said we bring this knowledge to the classroom because it ensures that the classes are more grounded to the students and learners' reality. It also fills the gap, the knowledge gap that is left by conventional education. Importantly, this, including this in our ELT classes, provides a value which is encouraging the learners to incorporate their knowledge, ensuring that they have the confidence they deserve when they are interacting with such complex cases like climate change. Next slide, please. All right, we also have the Ik and the Karamojong, who are in the northern parts of Uganda, and they also have interesting understandings of our Mother Earth. A lot of them have an understanding with the insect signals. They also use the local cues to predict the rainfall. So that, of course, helps with the planting and the tilling of the ground. So in our chat, I would like to know, I've seen most of us are from different parts of the world. What else could you do in our class? I had suggested that we'd use descriptive writing to describe the process of blessing the seeds according to the Ik. And the second one was using future tense to predict the role of the indigenous knowledge in predicting rain. So what other concept in the English language could you use to teach indigenous knowledge, focusing on the Ik and the Karamojong? So let's answer this in the chat. What other English aspect you could use? Yes, could write a poem. Interesting. All right, next slide, please. What other, yes, someone I said debate. Thank you, Happygod. We can also have a debate. For example, I'd suggested a motion. This House would prioritize Bene forest taboos for climate action. Remember that Bene have a habit of preserving trees, and they see them as sacred, so they would not cut down the trees. And then would have a role play of students acting out how the Karamojong are meeting to decide where to move their livestock to based on weather science. And then we have skills development. You know, someone had already said you could write a poem in the chat. Here we could also write an essay convincing a member of parliament, for example, especially in Uganda, since we have elections in January, to adopt a tree protection policy. So that would be all that would, and more, because I know these are examples that we can use in our classrooms. Article writing that is based on depth of the research. So finally, in your chat, do you have indigenous groups and knowledge related to climate in your country that we could use? Please share in our chat. I've seen people from India, I've seen very many people from different places. Please, in your chat, share the examples that you have in your context. Next slide. So what is the relevance, and how you as a teacher, how can you use all of this information? What indicators can you use to decide whether or not to adopt indigenous knowledge in your classroom? If the indigenous knowledge is outside of your area or region, it would mean you'd need to do a lot of research to incorporate this. And can you research this local indigenous knowledge? Can you share or learn from this indigenous knowledge worldwide? It seems we can at the moment. Would learners be interested in the knowledge? And then finally, what else can we do in relation to indigenous knowledge? So all of this begins a conversation that is needed for us to incorporate indigenous knowledge into our English language classrooms to combat the climate crisis. Next, we will have another interesting presentation about garden projects, and I hand it over to you, Khadija. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. And can enrich English language teaching while addressing climate challenges. So building on that idea of connecting local knowledge and sustainability to ELT, I'd like to share a project from Kenya. This project takes place in Mombasa County. It's a coastal region facing rising sea levels and erosion. And it shows how something as simple as school garden can become both a language classroom and a climate action space. Next. So today we are going to look at some of the activities that we have done in the class. Our first activity is descriptive writing. So in this activity, the students observed the plants in the garden. They're the ones who planted the plants. They prepared the garden, they planted. And how did we manage to come up with this project? The school was having a lot of plastic. So to avoid the plastic pollution, we decided to sell the plastic bottles to the recycling companies around the school. And the money that we got from the sale, we used it to buy the equipment and the seeds. And that's how we started the project. So in this activity, the main language focus was adjectives, where they were able to mention the adjectives. They were able to make sentences using the adjectives. And for the high-level learners, they were able to write paragraphs using the adjectives. So the climate link for this activity, they were able to reflect on the role of plants in the environment. And they were very happy doing this because their biology teacher also, oh, sorry, my video went off. So their biology teacher also uses the garden to teach biology classes. The impact that it had, there was improved creative writing skills and appreciation of green spaces. And everyone in the school wanted to be part of the project. Next, please. Next slide. So in our second activity, it was persuasive writing. The students had to master a way of convincing people to become part of the project and to be advocates of climate action and environmental stewards. So in this activity, we had to write letters to the administration. Our school is very big, but when it comes now to the land, we have limited space. So we were only allocated one part of the land. So we wrote a letter to the principal requesting for more space, and it really worked. She was so much convinced. And for this, they read the letter during the assembly. So as they were reading the letter to the principal, it also created awareness to the other students who were not part of the project. So the language focus in this, it was the learn on how to use persuasive devices. We also wrote a letter to the local leaders, inviting them to come to the school and support us where necessary. They came to the school, they saw what we were doing, and they managed to help us with a few gardening equipment. Next.
Can you see the next slide, Khadija? I've just moved that to the next slide. Let me know when you can see it. Hello, Khadija, are you there? Looks like we lost Khadija for potentially some connectivity issues. So we hope she's gonna connect back. But at being conscious of time, I guess what we're gonna do is just move on to the next presenter, and we'll give Khadija the opportunity to sort of carry on once she's able to come back. So Muhaymina, do you mind coming in, please?
Yeah, thank you very much, Steve, for giving me this opportunity. So the journey didn't stop there at the school garden. It went beyond the school gate to explore the real-world model of conservation and sustainability. Today, I'm very excited to share with you the learning journey my students and I experienced during the field trip. Specifically today, I'll be talking about the activities I designed and implemented before, during, and after the field trip, which helped my students to use English in authentic, meaningful way. So here and on the picture is where the first stop where we reached to the island, where we were given instruction on how to stay there at the island, or given us instruction on the do's and don'ts during our stay at the island. So now, why is it important to use field trip for language learning? First, it's very important to use field trip for language learning because it gives students meaningful communication experience to the real context. And it also gives students curiosity and also motivate them to learn. And it also inspires them to engage in learner about and work in sustainability. And it also, the field trip also give the chance opportunity to learners to use language or to use English in authentic context. And also it gives the support to the learners who has different abilities. We know that there are learners who have different learning styles. There are others who can learn better by visuals, others by having groups, and etc. What could your learners learn from this? Next. Next, please. Okay, so here on the picture, we see there is an eco-lodge and also there is eco-toilet. So eco-lodge are the design of the lodge or bungalows which you can find there at the Chumbe Island, which uses solar energy, which also use harvested rainwater and natural ventilation, but it consists the eco-toilet, which uses compost instead of flushing for healthier environment. So now let me talk a little bit about the island. So the island is marine protected area, which is 40 to 45 minutes from Zanzibar, and it is known for coral reef conservation, and it's a eco-lodge model, and it's a plastic-free area. And it's also very important area to go for learning or connecting environmental awareness and language learning. And it's also famous for the eco bungalows and eco toilets, which uses compost, as I have said, instead of flushing, so as to protect environment. Next slide. Here in the picture, my students are exploring biodiversity and coral reefs. Now, let's start with the pre-trip preparation. So for the pre-trip preparation, I taught my students some useful vocabularies so as to help them with comprehension and connect to what they were going to learn. So there are some important vocabularies like reef, conservation, snorkeling, coral reefs, and ecology, which I taught them before so as to connect to what they are going to learn. And also I had prediction exercise, which was among the pre-trip preparation. So for the prediction exercise, this was the favorite part of my students. All of my students liked this because everyone wanted to predict. So I gave them sentence starter, like, I think we will see dash, 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 and then they complete the sentence. I think we'll see water. I think we'll see big fish. I think we'll see corals, and etc. So this part for my class was very interactive one because students, they wanted to show their preferences and also they wanted to predict. And for the teaching tips, also you can use word cards, drawings, and or matching games so as to help your students with prior knowledge. Now I have a question. If you took your students to this island, what could you do on site and after the trip? Please answer in the chat. Linda, please help me if there is any response. Okay, next.
While people are answering, they're putting lots of interesting comments in the chat. No suggestions yet. Oh yeah, ask them to name as many things on the island as they can, and essay writing, and practical things like asking them to identify as many species of coral, for example, as they can. Hands-on activities about the livelihood of the peoples, diaries, loads of ideas now, blog posts, talking about their experience. So lots and lots of really interesting contributions.
Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts. Okay, for on-site learning, you can also do the observation journals, or you can give your students a notebook and ask them to write the new vocabularies they have learned during the trip. And you can also encourage speaking practice by asking students the questions which can motivate them to answer even short answers, like maybe, how do you see the water? Then the students can say the water is clear, maybe the water is blue. And also I gave my students task to interview guides and get the report back so as to make them get the speaking skills as well as get to learn more about the island. And for the post-trip class task, I also assign my students to write a paragraph about my day on the island, and they wrote very nice paragraphs. And for the upper level students, you can also give descriptive text on protecting the environment. So you can ask your students to write a descriptive text. And also for the speaking task, this was a very favorite part for my students. Every student had a story about the island. So everyone wanted a chance to say on this part. So my students shared their favorite part of the trip, and they were very excited. It was like we were back to the island on that day. So for the group project, I gave my students assignment to do posters in groups and brochures. So it was their choice if they want to make posters and brochures. So they made very colorful and nice brochures, which I didn't expect, because I thought maybe they would make something which very, very simple, but they made things which were very fantastic one. Next, please. So for resource limited settings, you can also use visuals, drawings, or small items to help your students to get the context, and also storytelling and storytelling circles. So you can ask your students to say one sentence and another one has to add another sentence until they get the complete story. And you can also reuse simple materials so as to help your students to learn more about the environment and also to use language at the same time. So now I have challenges for you. The first challenge is, if you could design an eco-lodge, what sustainable features would you include? The second one is, if you could visit one eco-destination, where would it be and why? And work out how much water you use per day or month. For example, how much water does a normal flush take per day or month? And can you plan composting area in your community or school? How could it work? Which of these could you do? Thank you. So now, next, please, let's continue with our journey with Green English Project. Happygod, please welcome.
Oh, thank you very much, guys. Now we have seen what is happening in Chumbe, and for the information is just about 45 minutes to Dar es Salaam. So welcome back to the Tanzanian mainland. So where we are going to explore how Green English project is connected with English language is connected to environmental understanding and challenges in Tanzania. So today we are going to see how learners share personal community stories, example floods and droughts and deforestations, and how they are going to build storytelling and how the storytelling building their confidence and sparks meaningful discussions in English language teaching classroom. For example, the activities that our learners have been doing was telling a story about how their family adapted to heavy rain or no rain seasons, and how students were able to practice English while reflecting on solution to their really life environmental problem. So let's get back to see this project. As Linda mentioned earlier, this presentation is part of the project, which is a British Council funded project for ELT in sub-Saharan countries, and the project was run by Delta English language teachers in Tanzanian mainland. So next. Thank you. So we'll see on activity one how storytelling with a local experience were practiced in our English language classroom. So in our classroom, learners were able to share the community stories, for example, floods, droughts, deforestations, but with a guidance, because this in the intermediary language level. So we were able to support them with sentence starters like, in my community, we often face dash, dash, dash. Last year, we experienced dash, dash, dash. My family responded by dash, dash, dash. And one solution that could be dash, dash. These sentence starters were used as a scaffold to help them build and construct simple sentences as they interact or discuss the issues that they really touch their daily life. So on the chat box, please, can you tell me one local issue you think you should be discussing with your learners on your locality by using this kind of sentence starters? I really want to see some from you. been in India, Spain, Senegal, Kenya. I've seen a lot of people from other different countries. When I was Argentina, very good. I see Christopher in my community. We often face drought. Martin Clement says, I can prevent deforestation via air pollution, floods. Yes, thank you very much. So one more question is that what language focus could be for this activity? What is the language focus for this activity? Thank you. Yeah, earthquake in Turkey, very good. Future tense, very good. Yeah, we can just talk a few tense in the classes, our language focus, a past conditional, very good. Thank you, Claire. Okay, we can also talk about the grammar structure, descriptive and argumentative. Thank you very much. We'll see as we continue with the next slide. Next. So, in our program, we started with a persuasive language as well, with a warm-up activity of 5 minutes, where learners were brainstorming vocabulary that's related to the weather. And we were able to use pictures to show them the vocabulary. And the next activities, we were able to match the words with the visual. We were able to place the visual that related it to the heavy rain and another visual related to the drought. And then learners will pick the words and match to the respective weather situation. For example, if you say like a typhoon, which place it be placed? Is it on the heavy rain or on the drought? When we say like a dry spell, where would they put? Would they put on the heavy rain related or in the drought related matter? So this we're able this activity that would allow learners to interact with the vocabulary, but while using like a total physical response, interacting with the vocabulary and learning why they are doing, and brainstorming as well as negotiating while learning the vocabulary at the same times. Another interesting activity that I really loved was the storytelling. Regardless their limited language, they were able to share the personal experience, of course, with the support of the language starters that the sentence starters that we shared earlier. They were able to say how the situation looked like, what they normally experience, how they solved the situation, how it looked like to them, and how it affected them by the support of the sentence starters that we shared. And last but not least, it's the community meeting simulation. So they were able to practice the community meeting or village meeting simulation. They simulated the meeting that they were discussing, the situation that we're expecting, which was like dry seasons, and started to plan ahead on the mitigations, how they mitigate risky, how they mitigate the extreme drought, how and what they can put at place so that they will be able to navigate through that difficult times when they arrives. And this is a kind of activity that were very meaningful, and it brought a lot of joy. And again, it brought a lot of connection with the learners as they were discussing things that really matter to them, but they actually happen in once in a year or every year sometimes. So I'm going to ask you on your chat box, would you tell me what language patterns can students practice as they are telling this story or they are engaging in this role play simulation of the village? So I want to read from your chat box, please. Thank you. I want to see some people. Thank you. Metaphor and idioms and vocabulary, exactly. They could discuss metaphor, they could discuss idiom, they could discuss vocabulary and build their language command as well. Like idioms, thank you. That's a Russian name I cannot pronounce, I'm sorry, but thank you so much. Karen, making suggestion and polite language. Aspect of grammar, Grace of Odu, thank you very much. Yeah, metaphor, yes, thank you very much. Grammar, sure, they can practice grammar. Very good. And create a critical thinking. Yes, they foster their critical thinking, which is one of the elements of our project. They can debate. They can use figurative language in general. Very good. Yeah. Also, tenses, they talk about the past, they talk about future, they talk about the continuous tenses. Descriptive grammar, very good, and creation of sentence structures. Okay, language for communication, communicative language, this is the key. Narrative. So thank you very much for the insight that I'm getting from the chat box. So I will tell you after this, can you go back one slide, please? Yeah. So after this, they would reflect on one real action that they think they can take back to their parents or to their community and advise them in terms of what to expect and how to navigate when that certain condition happen to their community. The idea is to foster not English language learning in the classroom, but the language learning that has impacted to their general welfare and even connecting them to their actual community to see that through the English language, they can learn things that matters to everyone. Next, please. Okay, thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, that you can adapt a different materials from the British Council Teaching English Resources website. And for example, our lesson was inspired by the climate action in English language teaching, which we got from the British Council. You can see the link below. And if Linda can post it on the chat box, you can also explore with a lot of other materials that we can get from the British Council Teaching English Resources. You can also get podcasts and posters, climate actions, but the most important things, you can localize these materials in larger classes and at your local experience. For example, this can be whether this activity was for the intermediate English language learners, but you can also contextualize it to advanced English language learners or even to the elementary English language learner. But the resources are there for you to customize to your experience and to every way that you find fit to your class based on the ages of the learners or the language command. So I would ask you one question. Have you ever used or adapted any teaching English resources in your classes? If yes, what are they? And if not, which one would you love to adapt? Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Can you tell us what you actually adapted from this? On the chat box. Okay, I'm looking forward to hear from you. Which one have you adopted, which you like, and which one would you think you would love to adapt? The podcasts, posters, lessons, plans? Yes, localization in practical. Thank you very much, Ladana. Lesson plans. Thank you. And Arnalda said no, but would you like to adapt some? Your climate action lesson plan, very good. Thank you very much. Posters. Yeah, so there are tons of materials that you can access from the British Council Teach English resources, and they are all for free. They are all easy to download and use and contextualize to your classroom. So I want to see next.
Thanks so much, Happygod. Actually, before we go to the next slide, I would just like to give Khadija the opportunity to sort of come back and because she has a lot to say about how to use vocabulary learning and link it with gardening. So Khadija, if you're around, could you please come forth for the third lesson that we want to hear from you on this additional lesson plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you to all of you for being patient. Just some network hitches. So in our third activity, We looked at vocabulary. So ever since we started the project, we had some words kept in a bank. So we used to have what we call word banks. So in this activity, we looked at the words that we had in our bank, and some of the words that we had were compost, irrigation, seedlings, and weeding. So as they were working in the garden, they used to make sentences using these words. If they were weeding, they were making sentences using the word weeding. And they had a chance to construct simple sentences. For the high-level students, they had a chance to write paragraphs, and some wrote essays about this. And they also used these words in dialogues. They came up with the dialogues themselves, and they had a chance to present the skit on a World Environment Day. They were so excited to stand in front of so many people because it was a very big event. There were hundreds of people there. And in a way, it really improved their confidence and also public speaking skill. As you can see in the photos, these are some of the vegetables that we harvested in our school garden. And we don't eat it all. We sell so that we can get funds to buy seeds for another project. Next. So how is this relevant to teachers worldwide? So I'd like you to put in the chat, what have you done in your school and what can you do? Kindly put it in the chat. So its relevance to the teachers worldwide, it is adaptable to any school. If there's limited space, you can use some bottles and containers. You can have a hanging garden where you tie ropes to the bottles or containers and put it on the roofs or on the windows of the classes. It also supports SDG 4, which is quality education. We are all working towards achieving that goal. It's part of the Vision 2030, and we are only a few years shy. So with this kind of project, it helps us to ensure that we have quality education. It also supports SDG 13, which is climate action. And as we are doing these projects, it creates awareness within the school compound and outside the school. And it attracts people to become advocates of the climate action. It also moves lessons beyond textbooks into real-world projects. So as we were learning in class about the vocabulary, weeding, compost, it didn't end in the classroom. We went to the garden and they saw what compost is, what weeding is in real world. It also empowers learners as change agents. And it's not only learners, even the teachers that are helping us in the project, the community, and everyone who is involved. We all become change agents. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I have seen you have put a lot of comments in the chat, so we are going to look at that at the end.
Thanks so much, Khadija. I'm just gonna maybe hand over now to Happygod to quickly close. I think he's got some questions for the group joining us today on Facebook and on Zoom here about how they want to implement these ideas that all four of you have actually shared. So over to you, Happygod.
Thank you very much, Steve. So mine, that just to close up, is a real question that I want you to put on the chat box. Among these ideas, being ideas from the classroom project linking English teaching and climate, when we talk about indigenous eco-knowledge, school in Uganda, school gardens in Kenya, school trips to the eco places of interest from Zanzibar, and green English, which one would you love to implement and use in your experience. Or whether it's integrating language learning with environmental sustainability, like using language lessons that example reporting or discussion about forest or skills development. Can you tell us in your chat box which one would you love to use? And if you can give a reason, like a very short reason, we'd love to hear. Next. So thank you. We'll hand over to Linda and Steve for in case you have questions or any. Thank you so much for listening and being with us.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, Happygod and the others as well. Such inspirational ideas coming out of that that we can put into practice all around the world, clearly. And so many inspirational ideas coming from the chat as well that people are sharing. Thank you so much. We've got a few minutes now for questions. If you'd like to put your cameras on, all the presenters, for the questions. The first question is specifically directed at Muhaymina, and this is a question about the terms you used, eco-lodge and eco-toilet. Could you, Muhaymina, just give us a brief definition of what these actually mean? You're mute at the moment. Can you unmute?
Okay, thank you so much for the questions. So for the eco lodge, it's a type of accommodation which usually uses the renewable energy. Renewable sources or energy. Like in Chumbe, I can say they use solar energy. They also use harvested rainwater so as to protect the environment. And another question it was about?
Eco-lodge and eco-toilet, yeah, the different.
Okay, so eco-toilet, kind of toilet which are designed to protect the environment as well. So they usually use less water or no water at all. So if you remember at the beginning of my presentation, there was a picture of the eco-toilet, which I said it uses compost. So that are the kind of toilet which we call eco-toilet, which uses compost instead of water. It uses water sometimes, but in minimal. It's not like in large amount of water. So they use, and even when we go to the island, we got the chance to see how they separate waste and transform them to this compost.
Yeah, I'm sure they have them in other parts of the world, but it would be
Yeah.
wonderful to go to Zanzibar and see them as well. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And then there is a question for Khadija. How often are we supposed to do school gardens? Would you like to address that one?
Okay, thank you so much, Linda, and thank you for the question. So, to me, a school garden is not a one-time activity. It's a continuous learning project, but we can do it termly. So for my school, we started with just one vegetable at the beginning of the year, and we advanced to more vegetables. So we kept on adding each term, and now we have a variety of vegetables.
Great. So it can't take over completely, clearly, but people become more enthusiastic, I'm sure, about it, don't they? And you add to your repertoire. Great. Thank you. A question about the level of activities. What level, this is from Macha, what level is most suitable for these activities? Chris, what do you think about yours about indigenous knowledge?
All right. Thank you, Linda. For the level, I think I would use the Ugandan concept that I understand better. I would say from primary school would be nice. Primary school, of course, the language aspects would be focused on what is set in the curriculum, but the level I could start from primary school right up to secondary school.
Because everyone will probably be interested in all of these things, won't they? It's the world,
Yes,
isn't it? Yeah,
exactly.
And it has to be adapted, obviously, according to the level. Great.
The curriculum, yes, true.
Thank you. And another question from Macha. Let's have Happygod with this one, if you're okay. It's a very interesting project, all of this, but my worry is about the time-consuming nature of all of this. How can we manage to be aligned with the syllabus and do all of these activities in our class? Any suggestions, Happygod?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. But I think these activities, it calls for a lot of teamwork with other staff members that you can use some of the activities during the club. For example, environmental club. In our case in Tanzania, English language is the medium of instructions. So you can integrate like environmental clubs times with the English language and having the very same impact that you want to achieve. And also during some other activities like out of the class activities you can spare sometimes with the other teacher. So it's a matter of collaboration to get this working, not only solely on your own as an English language teachers. Thank you.
Okay, and one more question has come up from the Facebook, I think. Can you explain what green English is? This will be our last question. That's for you again, Happygod.
All right, thank you. So Green English, it's a project that was rooted into development of English language training as well as environmental consciousness among learners. So it has a lot of many elements, but as a project in Dar es Salaam, in Tanzania, which is run by Delta, it's a program that include teachers who are English language teachers, but are raising awareness into the environmental consciousness, which includes like gardenings, including of taking actions against climatic issues like a planting of trees, cleanings of the lake shores. So it has included a lot of activities and creative activities which were developed by both teachers and learners as well. Thank you very much.
And localizing all these issues and bringing it into the English language curriculum, isn't it? Great.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you so much to all the presenters and for the questions as well. Handing back over to Steve now to close.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks, Linda, for handing over. This is actually unfortunate that the session is over. Our time is up. But thanks again, Linda, for co-hosting with me. Thanks again to our presenters, Khadija, Christopher, Happygod, and Muhaymina, despite the technical difficulties that we've had with Khadija today. And also thank you to our moderators, Melissa and Blessing on Zoom. And we are on Facebook. And with this webinar, ends our event for today. And we actually hope you enjoyed these two webinars on rethinking global issues from our team in Sub-Saharan Africa. It's been a pleasure, and we really enjoy all your participation. I've been impressed by all the comments in the chat. It's been a vibrant audience altogether. But before we go, I'd just like to take a chance to tell you once more about an opportunity to actually become a speaker for our course presenters 2026-2027. So this is your chance to become a webinar presenter for Teaching English, just as our 5 presenters today. And on the screen, you can see more details about this. And we'll actually put the links in the comments. So good luck if you apply. Goodbye for now, everyone. And we hope to see you for our next event. Thank you so much.